In most parts of the world, money solves problems. It opens doors, it removes friction. It gives you access to things others can't reach. That's the unspoken agreement behind luxury. If you can't afford it, you can have it. But Ferrari doesn't follow that rule. You can walk into a dealership with more than enough money, ready to buy, and still leave without a car. Not because it's sold out, not because you're late, but because you're not the right customer. That's the difference. Ferrari doesn't operate on simple transactions. It operates on selection. And that changes everything, because at a certain level, luxury stops being about what you can buy and starts becoming about whether you're allowed to buy it at all. Most car companies are built around scale. They produce more, sell more, expand faster. Growth is the goal. Even in luxury, volume still matters. More units, more visibility, more revenue. Ferrari chose the opposite path. It deliberately produces fewer cars than the market demands. Not because it lacks capacity, but because scarcity is part of the design. Every year, there are more people who want a Ferrari than there are Ferraris available. And that imbalance is carefully protected. Ferrari is not trying to meet demand. It's shaping it, controlling it, slowing it down. Because once supply exceeds desire, the illusion breaks. So Ferrari doesn't just sell cars, it sells restraint, it sells discipline, and most importantly, it sells something far more valuable than the car itself: controlled access. For most purchases, waiting is a problem. Delays are frustrating, inconvenient, something to avoid. But with Ferrari, the wait is not a flaw, it's the feature. For many models, especially the more desirable ones, waiting lists stretch for years. And for special editions, the wait is often replaced entirely by uncertainty. You don't just place an order and receive a delivery date. You wait, you follow, you hope. And strangely, that waiting builds attachment. The longer the delay, the stronger the desire. The more difficult the access, the more meaningful the ownership feels. By the time the car arrives, it no longer feels like a purchase. It feels earned. That's the shift. Ferrari doesn't reduce friction. It introduces just enough of it to make the reward feel significant. At Ferrari, buying your first car is relatively simple. Buying your second is where things begin to change. Access to the most desirable models is not open. It's layered, structured, one controlled through relationships and history. Dealerships track who you are, what you've bought, and how you engage with the brand. Loyal clients are rewarded. Newcomers are observed. And the most exclusive cars? They're not available to everyone. They're offered. That distinction matters. You don't configure and click. You wait for the opportunity to be extended to you. And sometimes it never comes. Because Ferrari is not just evaluating your ability to pay, it's evaluating your fit. Ownership in this world is not automatic, it's curated. Buying a Ferrari is not the end of the relationship. In many ways, it's the beginning. There are rules, rarely written, but widely understood. If you buy a car and immediately resell it for profit, you risk being quietly excluded from future opportunities. If you modify the car in ways that disrupt the brand's identity, that too can affect your standing. Nothing is announced, nothing is formal, but the consequences are real. Ferrari watches how its cars move through the world. It pays attention to behavior, because ownership is not just about possession, it's about representation. The brand isn't only protecting its products, it's protecting its image. And in that system, every owner becomes part of the brand's narrative, whether they realize it or not. Most luxury brands are designed to say yes. Yes to more customers. Yes to more exposure. Yes to growth. But Ferrari understands something different. Saying no is powerful. There have been moments where high-profile individuals, despite wealth and influence, have been denied access to certain models. Not publicly, not dramatically, but just quietly. That quiet rejection does something remarkable. It reinforces the idea that money alone is not enough, that access must be earned, not assumed. And in doing so, it elevates the brand far beyond simple luxury. Because when a brand can refuse you, it stops being a seller. It becomes a gatekeeper. And gatekeepers define status more effectively than any price tag ever could. At the highest level of Ferrari, things become even more selective. Limited models are never openly sold. They are allocated carefully, intentionally, often to clients with long histories and deep relationships. You cannot apply for them. You cannot request them. You can only be chosen. And that selection process creates a second layer of exclusivity. Not just owning a Ferrari, but owning the right Ferrari, the rare one, the one that others couldn't even attempt to buy. This is where desire becomes highly controlled. Because when access is limited to invitation only, the product becomes almost irrelevant. What matters is inclusion, being inside the circle. Ferrari's control doesn't end at the point of sale. It extends into the secondary market as well. Because supply is limited and demand remains high, resale values often stay strong. What in some cases, they even increase. But this isn't accidental. It's the result of disciplined production and controlled distribution. Too many cars would weaken the market. Too much availability would dilute perception. So Ferrari maintains balance, not just between supply and demand, but between desire and distance. Enough cars to keep interest alive, not enough to make ownership feel ordinary. And that balance protects more than just prices. It protects meaning. Because in luxury, value is rarely just about the object. It's about how difficult it is to obtain. Most luxury operates on a simple model. You see it, you want it, you buy it. Ferrari interrupts that sequence. It introduces hesitation, delay, evaluation. The process becomes slower, more selective, more layered, and that transforms the entire experience. This is not transactional luxury, it's relational. The brand builds a connection with the client over time. It observes, it responds, it decides. And that decision carries weight. Because when something is not immediately available, it begins to feel more significant, more intentional, less like consumption, and more like qualification. That's the difference Ferrari creates. You're not just buying a product, you're being allowed into a system. At first glance, Ferrari sells cars. Beautiful, fast, meticulously engineered machines. But beneath that surface, something else is happening. Ferrari sells access. Ownership becomes a signal, not just of wealth, but of position, of patience, of recognition within a system that most people never fully see. It's not loud. It doesn't need to be. Because the real value isn't in the visibility of the product. It's in the difficulty of obtaining it, in the quiet understanding that not everyone can. That's what makes it powerful. At a certain level, luxury stops being about display and starts becoming about control. Ferrari is not just a brand, it's a system built on scarcity, discipline, and careful control. A system where waiting is not a weakness, but a feature, where access is filtered, not freely given, and where the product itself is only part of the story. Because in the end, The car is not the hardest thing to obtain. Access is. That's the logic behind the waiting list economy. The idea that what you cannot immediately have becomes more valuable, more meaningful, more desirable. Ferrari didn't just build cars, it built a structure around them. One where ownership feels less like a purchase and more like permission. If you're drawn to quiet luxury, hidden systems, and power without noise, subscribe for more stories like this.